years of civil wars, they need to rebuild. They need to rebuild infrastructure. They need to rebuild civil society. And there are elements inside that society that should really be part of this new discussion on how to build Syria again. Unfortunately, they're being excluded from this. Now, I can understand why they may say that they're Assad loyalists, but I think you could peel away some people who are not Assad loyalists who say that see a vision that is more aligned with a tolerant society that is not in Jelani's playbook.
My last question to Mr. Kalmal, and I want to talk about what is happening on ground. The HTS chief recently, just a few hours ago, said that Israel has crossed the disengagement line in Syria because Israel has been pounding Syria non-stop. My question to you is that how could the latest statement and the ongoing strikes by Israel perhaps affect all efforts to bring stability in Syria post the fall of Assad regime?
This actually brings more stability. And when I say this brings more stability, what they have done is they've taken out the chemical stockpiles. They have taken out drone factories. They have taken out Air Force, the air capabilities, the things that they can use to wage war, to wage campaigns against other countries, but also to suppress the people within the country. So if we look at Afghanistan, there are Taliban members because the United States left behind all that equipment that they're flying helicopters. They're driving American-made tanks. Israel's not going to make that same mistake. They are not going to let these weapons end in the fall of a terrorist organization. And that's what HTS is. They're a terrorist organization being backed by Erdogan in Turkey.
But Mr. Kalmal, such actions can also provoke retaliatory measures from HTS, which we will have to wait and see. But thank you for joining us and we're on with your insights on this.
Always a pleasure, Risha. Thank you.
There are fresh signals of a ceasefire push for Gaza gaining momentum. Officials of the Biden administration have stepped up diplomacy towards closing in on a major pact by the end of 2024. And this as pressure continues on the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to get the hostages freed. Thousands of demonstrators gathered in Tel Aviv on Saturday, demanding a deal to bring back the hostages. It's now 435 days since the hostages were taken and thousands have gathered every Saturday for weeks now calling for a deal. There's also been a rising call for elections and for Netanyahu to step down. In the latest on the U.S. diplomatic push for a ceasefire in Gaza, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Cairo. Reports have suggested that his trip signals a possible breakthrough in negotiations with the Hamas. Sullivan said that the ceasefire in Lebanon has helped clear the way for a potential deal to end the war in Gaza too. Sources say that there have been some concessions from the Hamas. Hamas has now reportedly agreed to the Israeli forces staying in the Gaza Strip temporarily after the fighting ends. It will also provide a complete list of hostages, including Americans, who will be released. Meanwhile, on the ground, Israel continues its onslaught on Gaza. On Saturday, at least 7 people were killed in an Israeli strike on a former school in Gaza City that was sheltering displaced people. The health ministry in Gaza put the death toll in the war at 44,930 so far. Boeing has cautiously resumed production of its 737 MAX jets following a prolonged work stoppage that lasted for over a month. However, the recovery procedure has been hampered by supply chain delays and reluctancy from smaller suppliers to fully rehire the staff. Our next report telling you more.
एक दिन हमारे गांव में किसी ने नहाने का सावर रख दिया। हमारे आधे गांव ने पानी पी लिया और एक शहर वाले का नहाना अभी खत्म ना हुआ।
Boeing has cautiously restarted production of its best-selling 737 MAX after a lengthy work stoppage that lasted over a month. While the assembly line at the Renton factory has begun to move again, Boeing's recovery is deliberate and measured. The plane maker has not completed any new jets yet, as workers inspect half-constructed planes for flaws missed during the strike, and safety licenses are being renewed. Boeing has set a target of producing 15 to 20 MAX jets in December. However, some suppliers are hesitant to ramp up production, citing uncertainty around Boeing's long-term plans. The impact of the strike and the subsequent cautious approach by Boeing has created significant challenges in the supply chain. Smaller suppliers who reduce staff and hours during the strike are reluctant to rehire workers, unsure of Boeing's production needs. While Boeing's cautious restart has earned praise from regulators, there are still significant delays in production. Parts that used to take a day to process now take up to a week. The company is aiming to reach its target of 38 jets per month by year-end. However, achieving this goal remains uncertain. Boeing's struggles to recover from the strike are not just about restarting the production lines, but also about rebuilding trust with its suppliers. Many smaller companies in Boeing's supply chain are holding back on new investments, fearing another shift in Boeing's production rates. Despite these challenges, Boeing is working closely with suppliers to stabilize its 737 MAX output. However, experts predict that it will take longer to reach pre-strike production levels compared to the past disruptions. Business Bureau Report, WION World is One.